Today will mark a very horrific day in the annals of the Florence Police Department.
Front of Vintage driving Half Mile Road, have an officer down.
Suspect inside the residence opened fire on the investigators.
240, let us know that this time the patient is going to be behind the residence and the suspect was still firing.
These officers went there unknowing the firepower the suspect had.
This situation is not getting any better. Please stay out of the next place until we call.
Just keep our officers and our agencies in your prayers.
The prayers of every human being who knows the Lord Jesus Christ to pray for these officers.
Thanks for joining us for WNBF News at 11 as we continue our breaking news coverage tonight. I'm Meredith Heeline.
I'm Eric Weisfeld. It has been a tough night here. One officer dead, 6 others injured along with 1 civilian. This is the story we've been bringing you since it first broke around 5 o'clock this evening, and we've continued to stay at the scene as more developments have emerged. We have team coverage now from Florence County. Ian Klein with the emotional update from officials at McLeod Regional Medical Center.
Patrick Lloyd, who spoke with a mother who heard the gunshots and caught them on camera.
Max McGee with reaction from across the nation, a breakdown on what we're seeing on social media tonight.
Ania Watson, who was the first of our crew members to arrive on the scene this afternoon. She's breaking down what we know at this point. Nia.
First, though, we now know the identity of the officer who was killed today. This man, Terrence Caraway, is the Florence officer who died from his injuries. Florence County Coroner says he was just 52 years old from Darlington. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. An autopsy will be conducted tomorrow at MUSC. City of Florence spokesman John Wakila says Caraway died and just received his 30-year service pin from the department.
Another sad update as details from the situation continue to develop. Our team coverage starts with Nia Watson tonight. And
Nia, you've been on the scene for more than 6 hours now. Give us some context as to what's going on right now and what we know now about this situation.
Eric, I'm still here on the scene off Hoffmeyer Road across from a Vintage Place neighborhood where the shooting happened. Now, looking around, you can see that the scene has definitely cleared up, except for the police officers at the entrance of the neighborhood. Coming up, you'll hear from more people who live in the area on their thoughts coming home to this devastating scene. For now, live in Florence County, Nia Watson at WNBF News.
Now we go to Ian Klein live at McLeod Regional Medical Center where several of the injured officers are being treated tonight.
And Ian, you had the chance to hear from both law enforcement and Florence Mayor Stephen Wakila.
That is correct, and you heard Nia talk about the emotion that everyone was going through, and those emotions came all the way here. And we have not received any more information about the deputies or officers that are at the hospital at this moment being treated. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the night and into tomorrow morning. Reporting live in Florence, Ian Klein, WNBF News.
Continuing our team coverage now, a woman who lives near the site of the shooting captured a pretty scary moment on her cell phone this evening.
Patrick Lloyd is live on Hoffmeyer Road with her story tonight. Patrick.
Yeah, Shannon McGurn lives just down the road from here. Her neighborhood actually connects to the neighborhood where the shooting happened. She'll have more on McGurn's experience a little bit later on in our show this evening. For now, reporting live in Florence County, Patrick Lloyd, WNBF News.
And as this situation unfolded, we saw an outpouring of support on social media.
Our Max McGee has been in the newsroom monitoring reaction online tonight. He joins us now with what he's found. Max.
News of the deadly shooting spread across social media quickly from locally to around the nation. Many sent their thoughts and prayers to Florence County tonight. The President of the United States retweeting Governor McMaster saying, quote, "My thoughts and prayers are with the Florence County Sheriff's Office and with the Florence Police Department tonight in South Carolina. We are forever grateful what our law enforcement officers do 24/7, 365. President Trump is just 2 weeks removed from visiting Horry County. Governor Henry McMaster in a 2-part tweet saying, quote, "This is simply devastating news from Florence. The selfless acts of bravery from the men and women in law enforcement is real, just like the power of prayer is real." He went on to say, "Peggy and I ask you pray for them, pray for their recovery, pray for their families, and pray for all of Florence." South Carolina Governor candidate James Smith saying, "All of the people of South Carolina have suffered a loss as one who was devoted to protecting our safety has been taken from us in a senseless act." Congressman Tom Rice retweeted WNBF News on Twitter saying, quote, "This is absolutely devastating. We're staying updated and sending our prayers to the police officers and their families." Senator Lindsey Graham saying he spoke with Florence Mayor Steve Wakila. We stand by ready to help in any way we can. Our area was already in the hearts and minds of many around the country with the devastation many are facing from Hurricane Florence, and now again with the shooting. What our local agencies are saying about this latest tragedy. Just a few minutes.
And we do want to get a quick check of your forecast.
Breaking news, 8 people were shot, 1 officer was killed. Our coverage on this deadly shooting in the PD continues late into the night. You're taking a live look at the scene right now. You can see officers are still there. Their lights are still on. Neil Watson has another live report coming up in just 3 minutes.
Homes filled with water as waters rise across area neighborhoods, and it's not expected to start going down until later this week.
A waiting game as military and first responders from across the country help with the rescues.
The devastation widespread as we wait for a chance to begin recovery. Thanks for joining us for WNBF News at 6. I'm Meredith Mueller.
I'm Eric Weisfeld. Our team coverage continues tonight with crews spread out, bringing you the very latest on conditions in neighborhoods across our area.
Patrick Lloyd new at 6 with an update on the Coal Ash Pond as the Waccamaw River rises, threatening to overtop it. Aaron Edwards in Myrtle Beach after spending the day with the Pennsylvania National Guard on local rescue efforts. Neil Watson reporting from Marion County and communities devastated by both Hurricane Matthew and now Florence.
Plus, Raycom's Alexis Simmons reporting from Georgetown as conditions there are expected to worsen as the week goes on. Samantha Coomerer in the studio with new details on animal rescues in the floodwaters. Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold in Bucksport with a look at the water levels there.
That's also where we find Marissa Tansino. It's an area facing disaster as homeowners stood on some of the only pavement left of Bucksport Road while the waters rise higher. She spoke with them and she kicks off our team coverage at 6.
Yeah, well, Meredith and Erica, at this point, most people who live here don't even know what condition their home is in. We took a boat ride in this neighborhood earlier today, and in some places, the water gets as deep as 4 feet. But right now, people who live in this community are just trying to hold on to each other while they wait for the water to go down, and then the cleanup process can begin.
And right now we have the latest on Santee Cooper continuing to prepare for the Waccamaw River to make its way into a second coal ash pond in Conway. The utility company expected the water to run over Ash Pond 2 this afternoon. So far it hasn't. Patrick Lloyd is live now in Conway with an update on that. Patrick?
Reporting live in Conway tonight, Patrick Lloyd, WNBF News.
Right now, many of you watching us from a place other than your home after you had to evacuate because of this flooding. We want you to know we're committed to bringing you the latest on conditions where you live. Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold has been out live for about a week now in neighborhoods across Horry County. Tonight, he's in the Bucksport area where new video shows aerial views of the flooding there. Jamie.
And yeah, here in Bucksport, it's the same theme that we've seen over and over again. Live in Bucksport, I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
Rising rivers overtaking roadways. The impacts of Florence felt well after the storm left our area, causing problems that could last for years.
Today I learned why utility workers are scrambling to protect this coal ash pit from the rising Waccamaw River. The health risk associated with this chemical waste if the floodwaters rush in, ahead on WNBF News at 6.
It's a story we're hearing time and time again in the aftermath of Florence. People who have just recovered or are still recovering from Hurricane Matthew preparing to lose their homes again. How they're saving what they can as creeks, rivers, and the Intracoastal Waterway keep rising.
And our live team coverage across our area doesn't stop there. Aaron Ladd in Lumberton, where he was on a rescue boat as 2 people and a dog were brought to safety. Neil Watson reporting in Darlington County tonight, where the Sunoco paper mill complex flooded. Others in the community are feeling the impacts now. And First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold in Socastee by the Intracoastal Waterway. He starts our coverage at 6 with how high the water is going to get there and in rivers across our area. Jamie?
We're going to have more on the rest of the rivers, the Waccamaw River, the Lumber River, and the PD rivers coming up. For now, though, we'll send it over to Robert with thankfully what continues to be a drier forecast. Robert.
Yeah, we do continue to see improvements here. It's not completely rain-free tonight, but the downpours we're seeing, they are small. In fact, they're not as widespread as we saw yesterday evening, and they aren't going to cause any additional flooding problems.
And Robert, we have new details at 6 regarding the possibility of drinking water being contaminated because of a coal ash pond and rivers flooding. Santee Cooper says hundreds of thousands of tons of coal ash piled at the old Granger facility. Aaron Edwards tells us what kinds of risks there are and what's being done to stop the pollution.
Santee Cooper has been working to remove the coal ash pile over here since 2014. There's still 200,000 tons of it over there, and they're worried that flooding from the Waccamaw River could reach that pile. Reporting in Conway, Aaron Edwards, WNBF News.
And right now, let's take a live look at US 501 at University Boulevard, backed up as people work to get into and through downtown Conway, backed up as far as the eye can see. If you can avoid this area, you're going to want to do that. Our Patrick Lloyd has been stuck in that traffic, in fact, for more than 2 hours this evening. This is all caused by the closure of 501 bypass going in the same direction. And that's because South Carolina Department of Transportation and the South Carolina National Guard are working to build that barrier as part of a flood prevention project. During a media briefing this afternoon, officials with SCDOT announcing the project is 75% complete. They expect the barrier to be complete tomorrow by noon, they say, and officials hope this wall will help prevent the rising Waccamaw River from flooding this important route through Horry County. They also discussed the likelihood Highway 501 will also flood in Gallivan's Ferry, which could also cut off Horry County. Officials expect that portion of the roadway to be overwhelmed by water either Thursday or Friday. We have breaking news at 6 o'clock. A temporary berm created by sandbags under the CSX tracks in Lumberton has been breached now. This is behind the West Lumberton Baptist Church on West 5th Street in Lumberton. You're looking at video of when crews were piling up the sandbags to try and stop the water, and now it's been breached. Authorities want to be clear, though, the levee around the city is structurally sound, as are the other dams in Robeson County, and this is just a temporary berm that has been breached. We have new details now on the aftermath of Hurricane Florence in the PD. In Darlington County, rising water levels have flooded the Sunoco paper mill complex in Hartsville. Some people who live in that area also feeling its impact tonight. Nia Watson is live in Hartsville. She has more from residents and company officials. They're all dealing with that flooding. Nia?
Live in Hartsville, Nia Watson, WNBF News.
Flooding causing desperate situations in neighborhoods across the area as roads become impassable. The life-saving measures underway in parts of Lumberton. When WNBF News at 6 continues. A very busy day in the WNBF newsroom as we honor and remember Sergeant Terrence Caraway. We're bringing you team coverage from Florence, where thousands gathered to honor the fallen officer. Plus, a jury selected in the trial against Tammy Moore. The new developments from the courtroom as her kidnapping trial is set to begin. Also at 6, bond denied for the man accused of shooting and killing a man during a bar fight at Riptides. We're also hearing from a close friend of the victim who says she is still in shock after this senseless act of violence.
And Michael growing to a powerful hurricane in the Gulf. The latest impact forecast for our area less than a minute away.
The WNBF News at 6 starts right now.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WNBF News at 6.
Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us for WNBF News at 6 o'clock on a very busy day in our newsroom. I'm Eric Weisfeld, my co-anchor Meredith Heline. Anchoring from the field tonight, she's been at Sergeant Terrence Caraway's funeral all day. We're going to have team coverage from Florence in just about 2 minutes. First, though, tonight, Hurricane Michael in the Gulf threatening the Florida Panhandle and set to bring tropical storm impacts as it passes through the already hurting Carolinas. As people continue to recover after Florence, Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold breaking down the impacts we'll feel in the Grand Strand and the PD. We should point out those impacts, Jamie, though, nothing like Florence.
Yeah, a huge difference across the Carolinas between Florence and Michael. That got a much closer look at all those impacts coming up in my full forecast.
Badge 272, Florence County Central Dispatch.
Last Wednesday, many of you got to know my friend, Terrence Caraway. Somebody called him a hero for what he did. He was, but more important, he was a hero long before last Wednesday.
Sergeant Terrence Caraway, Badge 272, Florence County Central Dispatch.
More than just a father or a father figure, more than just a mentor or someone you look up to, more than just a police officer, he was a legend.
Cruiser 1 Central Dispatch, we're receiving no response from Cruiser 2, Badge 272.
Rest in peace, 272, Sergeant Terrence Caraway. Your brothers and sisters in blue have it from here. We love you, Sergeant Terrence Caraway.
An officer, a coach, a father, a husband, and a friend. A sad day for so many as Sergeant Terrence Caraway, who was shot and killed in last week's ambush on law enforcement in Florence County, was laid to rest. Our coverage continues on WNBF News at 6 now from Florence. That's where we find my co-anchor Meredith Heline tonight after a day of honoring and remembering the life of a hero. Meredith?
Good evening, Eric, and that's exactly what kind of day it was. This parking lot here at the Florence Center was packed today as thousands of people went into the Florence Center to honor Sergeant Terrence Caraway. His visitation, his public viewing started at 9 o'clock this morning. It was followed at noon with a funeral service, and we've been here all day. We had a live show at 11 o'clock today, and even more of you watched from home watching that show as people who didn't even know him, friends, family, co-workers, law enforcement from across the state, across the country came here to honor their fallen comrade. Now we have team coverage tonight from across the area. We start with Nia Watson. She's live at the Florence Memorial Gardens. That's where Sergeant Caraway was laid to rest just a short time ago. Aaron Edwards live at the Florence Center with testimony on how Terrence Caraway changed kids' lives for the better through his service as a coach and mentor. And we have Patrick Lloyd, who was also at the funeral today, with a powerful message that his friends had to say as to who he was as a person. And Patrick Lloyd is kicking off our team coverage tonight at 6.
We all know what happened to Terrence Caraway, but today was not a day to focus on that. Today was a day to focus on who Terrence Caraway was as a person. Live in Florence, Patrick Lloyd, WNBF News.
And friends, family, fellow officers followed the Caraway motorcade from the Florence Center here to the Florence Memorial Gardens. That's where he was buried today, surrounded by family and friends, and that's where Nia Watson is live now. Good evening, Nia.
Live in Florence, Nia Watson at WNBF News.
And you just heard Nia say it. Mentor. We've heard Terrence Caraway described so many times as a mentor, a coach, and a friend. And Aaron Edwards is live in the Florence Center now with more on how he was a coach and a mentor and how he impacted people, not just because of his uniform and the leadership he had as a police officer, but also how he impacted kids across the PD as a coach and mentor. Aaron.
Yeah, Meredith, I spoke to dozens of people before the service today. Reporting live in Florence, Aaron Edwards, WNBF News.
And that wraps up our team coverage right now at 6. We'll be back here at 7 with more on everything that happened today and what we've learned about Sergeant Terrence Caraway. I'm Meredith Heline. Back to you in the studio, Eric.
She claims a daycare put her child in danger, but the daycare says that's not the story.
All new at 6, the daycare center responds to those allegations.
And I found out how many daycare centers in the Myrtle Beach area face similar complaints.
Also at 6, the father of Hania Aguilar denied a visa as he works to get into the United States for his daughter's funeral. What his lawyer says is being done as we get closer to this weekend's service.
And the train carrying President George H.W. Bush from Houston to his final resting place has a tie to our area. That's new at 6. Plus, how the U.S. and Bush family are saying their final goodbyes. WNBF News at 6 starts right now.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WNBF News at 6.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Meredith Heline.
Good evening to you. I'm Eric Weisfeld. Our top story at 6 is the weather as we look ahead to cold days and heavy rain and the chance for some inland winter weather.
It is a bummer for the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold is out in that chilly weather tonight at the kickoff for Brooke Green's Nights of 1,000 Candles. Jamie.
We're going to take a much closer look at that, and we'll have much more from here at Brookgreen Gardens coming up. Live, though, for now in Brookgreen Gardens at Nights of 1,000 Candles. I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
Breaking news at 6, Darlington police need your help identifying this man you see here.
Officials say he was in the area of an attempted child abduction. Now, it happened yesterday afternoon around 3 o'clock at the Walmart on Andover Place.
Anyone with information on who this man is should call Darlington police. Developing tonight, a woman is wondering why Asakasti Daycare is still operating after repeatedly receiving deficiency reports from the state. But the school says it's not at fault.
Patrick Lloyd and investigative reporter Samantha Coomer looked into the story together today, and Patrick got both sides of the story from the woman as well as the school. So we're going to start with him. Patrick, what have you learned?
Well, Eric, that woman. Now, you might be wondering why the woman came forward 2 years after the incident. She says she was researching other local daycares to put her son in and came across a website that appeared to show the school had some other issues. Our investigative reporter Samantha Coomer dug deeper into that website and joins us now with more. Samantha.
The State Department of Social Services maintains the website scchildcare.org. This information and the mother's story is just the start. I've obtained hundreds of pages of documents and will be investigating further into how South Carolina monitors child care facilities. In the studio, Samantha Coomer, WMBF News.
The latest now as lawyers join the fight to get the father of Hania Aguilar to the United States in time for her funeral. It's a waiting game to find out if a visa will be approved in time. WMBF News spoke with Hania's father's attorney, who says the U.S. State Department denied the first expedited request because Hania's father doesn't have enough ties to Guatemala, where he currently lives. She explains the U.S. wants to see a visa applicant has reasons to return to the country they came from. However, she claims Hania's father has a family and a business in Guatemala and no ties to the United States other than wanting to be at his daughter's funeral.
I've never seen anything, any other visas for this type of situation getting denied in the past. So it was surprising to me that it was denied and the reasons that they gave, and that's why we're trying again. But again, with the current government, we are seeing things like this more often.
Salem says she's hopeful they'll be able to prove Hania's father's ties, but at this point, it's a race against the clock, she says. She also says lawmakers, including Governor Roy Cooper and 2 congressmen, wrote letters of support. And as for the funeral arrangements, there's a Catholic Mass for Hania tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at St. Francis de Sales Catholic Church. A funeral service will follow Saturday at noon at Lumberton Senior High School.
Tonight, 2 of the officers who survived the alleged ambush on Florence law enforcement spoke with WMBF News. Brian Hart and Travis Scott were at an event today where the credit unions of the Carolinas donated $20,000 to the officers involved in the Vintage Place shooting. Both say they appreciate the support they've received from the community since the shooting 2 months ago.
It means a lot. It's very humbling. We feel the love and support from the community, and it have us feel special on the inside, you know, see all the love from this tragedy.
We just appreciate the community support, their donations, their thoughts and prayers. If we do anything for them, just like they're doing everything for us.
We're happy they're doing well in the recovery. The money will be divided evenly between the officers involved. Police Chief Alan Heidler says the other recovering officer, Scott Williamson, is still in rehab at a facility in Atlanta, but has made tremendous progress and is hopeful he'll be back in Florence within the next month.
21-year-old Dusan Octave, better known as rapper Kodak Black, made an appearance today inside a Florence courtroom for a 2016 criminal sexual assault charge. Nia Watson was there and has more on what went on in that hearing.
Dusan Octave appeared in front of Judge Thomas Russo here at the Florence County Judicial Center. Reporting in Florence, Nia Watson, WMBF News.
New at 6 is the body of President George H.W. Bush made its way from Houston to its final resting place in College Station, Texas today. The person driving the train's engine is from right here in Horry County. Engineer June Nobles is from Loris. Nobles served 9 years in the Navy and has worked for Union Pacific for 16 years.
Today she drove Union Pacific engine 4141, the same train President Bush actually drove when it was dedicated back in 2005. People lined railroad tracks as the funeral train with a glass door showing the casket took the 70-mile journey to Texas A&M University. Next at 6, we're taking you to College Station for the very latest as the nation says goodbye to its 41st president.
It's not the news anyone was hoping for. Authorities believe the body of missing 13-year-old Hanya Aguilar was discovered in a body of water in Robeson County. I'm live tonight, not far from where investigators made that discovery, as a community reacts to the latest news on this ongoing investigation.
Amid a crackdown on prison contraband in South Carolina, a federal investigation reveals prisoners were able to scam U.S. military members out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm in Columbia, and I'll tell you how these inmates were able to pull off this scheme and just how many U.S. military members authorities say paid up.
And the temperature set to drop below freezing again tonight, but we're going to watch temperatures increasing as we move to the weekend. WNBF News at 6 starts right now.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WNBF News at 6.
We believe we had found the body of 13-year-old Hanya Aguilar. This is the outcome that we all feared that was going to happen. We did not want to hear this. We wanted to bring Hanya back home and bring her back home alive to our community. It hurts. Our work is not over. We will not stop. We will not stop until we find the person or persons responsible and we bring them to justice. We will not stop until we do that.
It's a story we've been following for more than 3 weeks now, and the outcome is not what anyone hoped it would be. Authorities believe the body of 13-year-old Hanya Aguilar was found yesterday afternoon in that body of water in Lumberton.
We first told you about the body found on Wiregrass Road last night on WNBF News at 6, but it was just hours ago. Authorities say preliminary tests indicate the body is Aguilar's, but additional testing will be done to confirm that.
Nia Watson joins us live from Lumberton, where she's been following this case since Hanya first disappeared. She spoke with members of that community today, and that was as they waited to learn if that body was the one that they truly hoped it would not be. Nia?
Yeah, Eric Meredith, an autopsy and a dental records comparison still need to be done to determine the cause of death of Hanya and to indeed confirm that it is Hanya's body that was found in this body of water behind me. Live in Robeson County, Nia Watson, WNBF News.
All right, Nia, we want to tell viewers now more on how you can help officials in the next phase of this investigation.
Officials say they need help from you to determine when and how the body was placed on Wiregrass Road. They're also asking for surveillance video near that scene. Those investigators also saying there's evidence there and on the tip lines that's going to help them piece together what happened to Hanya.
So today I have the same plea to the public that I've had from 5 November. Please call us if you have information to help. Don't post rumors on social media. Don't share your speculation about this case. At 5 November, I stood right here before you and stated I couldn't imagine how I would feel if this was one of my daughters. Last night, I had to stand in front of Hanya's mother and explain to her what we had found. And you can all imagine what that has done to her. Can you further imagine what is happening to her today as she hears things that are not based in fact, that are purely speculative, and are rumors and falsehoods?
Again, if you have any surveillance cameras near Wiregrass Road, or if you saw anything out of the ordinary in that area between yesterday and November 5th, you're asked to call that tip line, and that number is here on your screen.
Obviously not the answer we wanted today, a very sad day for all of us, but hopefully this will fuel the fire for our viewers to just really rack their brains and think of anything. And authorities have said in the past, whatever it is, give us that information. Let us decide if it can be useful. But anything you can remember, 6 out of the ordinary for you, let authorities know.
And they are still looking to identify that man that they caught on video walking, right. I believe near Wiregrass Road. It's a black and white video that they're looking to question him for answers for Hanya. It's on our website, WNBFnews.com.
Now we'll send it over to Robert for another dip in the